Businesses thrive by knowing customer insights because today's insights are tomorrow's facts. At iResearch, we live and breathe insights. And despite searching high and low, we were unable to find a customer insights podcast that answers one of the most important questions in business. Why do customers do what they do? So we launched one. Hi, I'm your host, Darshan Mehta. Hello, we're here on this episode with Christine Trippi. She is an award-winning hospitality leader with more than 34 years of experience in the industry. She is currently a CEO, speaker, trainer, consultant, and coach at the Wise Pineapple. She's also the author of Yes is the Answer, How Positivity, Passion, and Pineapples Will Transform Your Leadership and Your Life. I'm happy to speak with you, and welcome and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. I'm excited to be here with you.
You know, I've read your profile and it's very exciting, and I want to hear about your journey, especially if you can maybe share with us, what are the aha moments that have gotten you to where you are currently?
Oh my gosh, there's so many aha moments. They happen daily. But one specific thing, when you say that, I think of a specific. I can think of a number of specific ones, but I'll just start from the very beginning. I was in high school in the high school work program. And and because I was in the work program, they said you should really be in a job that you want to make a career. And at the time I was working for Ponderosa Steakhouse. I was a steak walker. And I thought, well, I don't know what I want to do. I figure I'll be a waitress my whole life. And I really didn't have high aspirations for myself. And I said, but you know what? If I could be a waitress anywhere, I would love to work in a hotel. It seems so romantic in a hotel. And I said, but you know, in my mind, that was too high above my station, if you will. And so she says, well, you should do it. You should try to apply for that. And so, you know, I just ruminated on that. And I did. I applied at the Red Roof Inn. I applied at the Pizza Hut because that would take me up a level, because it would be a full restaurant where I would take the full order. At Ponderosa, they would order at the order station. You just run out the food. So it would still be a little of an upgrade, if you will, promotion. And then I applied at the Hampton Inn. And it was a brand new chain, brand new building. And they called me. Pizza Hut called me, offered me the job over the phone. Red Roof never called me. Their loss. And then the Hampton Inn called me. But now when the Hampton Inn called me, they wanted me to be the laundry girl / van driver. And I was 17. I have never even driven on an expressway. And it was an 18-passenger van. I'd have to get a B license to drive it. And I was terrified. I thought, how the hell am I going to do that and take people's lives in my hands? And I was just like, how can I do that? I should just take the Pizza Hut job. I know I can do that. But it was just sitting here and eating at me. I wanted to work for a hotel. And I said yes. And it was the best yes of my life, except for marrying my husband. But it really showed me one of the main lessons I learned there, and that was such an aha, is that when you're torn between two choices, take the one that scares the hell out of you, because that's where the learning and growth would be. And I had that message come to me many times in my career, but that was the first time that I was aware of it. And I did it, and I drove people in that big, huge van. And quickly they saw what I was all about in personality and serving people, making people happy. And I think it was 3 months and I was running the front desk. And only 1 year later from there, I was opening up my own Hampton Inn as the assistant general manager. And I was 18 years old.
Wow. So I want to go back to that decision and the advice that you gave. That is, take the road that is going to scare the hell out of you.
That scares the hell out of you.
and I'm wondering, there's a lot of people probably out there thinking that's really hard to do. So what advice do you get them? And I guess what's the real benefit you're seeing doing that?
Yeah. Well, one, and I can even think of a couple of positions that I took that, like, I walked into that interview going, got it. You know what I mean? I could do this in my sleep. And I didn't stay there very long. I was in those positions maybe 6 months because I wasn't challenged and I wasn't in that flow. There's a Goldilocks challenges, if you will. And those are those things that challenge you, but they're doable. And you get in this flow like, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm doing, I'm successful, I'm good at this. That's when you get in that flow. And if you take a job that doesn't scare you, that you know you can do in your sleep, you're not going to hit that Goldilocks flow and you're going to be bored and you're going to look for something quicker. And I can think of a job I took, and this was in the early 90s. So we were in a recession, so jobs were scarce. And it was for the Holiday Inn. And if anybody out there remembers the Holodome, it's the Holiday in Itasca, and it was a Holodome, and I took a job as a front office manager, and that was something I had been doing for a long time now, and it just, I was probably there 6 months because it didn't really, fill that flow for me. So always, if you are caught between two decisions and one scares the hell out of you, take the one that scares the hell out of you. It has never let me down. Never let me down.
It's not necessarily easy, but it's never let you down, correct?
Yeah, it's never let me down. Yes.
Is this the difference between, we're all given the choice of thing in life, to survive or to thrive? Is that really what you're talking about here?
Yeah, honestly, I would say so. I would say just, if you're taking a job you're not growing, you're doing what you can do in your sleep, you're not thriving. You're just kind of showing up every day, getting it done. And you can, and if you are out there and in a job like that, that doesn't mean that job is done for you. I'm going to give you a great example of this. I often will say, when you start hitting your snooze alarm a bunch of times in the morning, that's when you know that you need something more because you're not excited to get up anymore. So it's kind of like when you get that. Now, when I was a general manager, the last general manager position that I had inside operations of a hotel was a Courtyard in Waukegan here in Illinois. And I was there maybe just under 5 years. And at first, when I started, I was a first-time GM, and there was a lot to turn around, a lot. It kept me busy for years. And then suddenly I got my flow kind of where I was, just coming in, and we had our operation really set. And I needed some more of those Goldilocks challenges. I needed to start growing again. So there were a few things I did. I got on the chair for a group with Marriott called Jewel. And it was joining, engaging women in exceptional leaders. And we did this throughout Marriott, and we hosted events and we did things. So that got me excited again, all while still loving my job. I also became the champion for CMN, Children's Miracle Network. So I was our regional champion for that. So that was something that got me excited again. It was new. I was learning again. So again, if you're in a job where, I feel like maybe I'm comfortable, there are ways for you to get uncomfortable again. You don't have to leave your job. But if you are caught between two choices, one that scares you, one that doesn't, always go with the one that scares you.
Mm-hmm. Is that what put you on the path to write the book, Yes is the Answer?
Oh, well, that was terrifying. And yes, that started in the early 90s also. I was the front office manager at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. And it's a kind of a long story, so I don't know how much you want to hear about this, but it is in the book. It is in the book. And I read an article about this service provider who went out and he had this experience, and he got a no from the waitress, the server, and he went back to his hotel, and that no impacted him very strongly. So he went back to his hotel and had a big rally, and he said, "From this day forward, we are eliminating the word no, and our new motto is yes is the answer. What is the question?" And he hung up pineapple milkshakes all over the hotel to remind people, yes is the answer. Well, after reading this article, I was like, oh, yes, I totally was on board. So I went and I did that at my hotel at the Crown Plaza. And I put up my pineapple milkshakes. I held my rally. I gave everybody our new motto, and everybody was pumped. They were ready to say yes. However, saying yes is not always easy. And if I'm being honest, at the time, I didn't even know how to say yes to some of those really hard questions. So I got super hyper focused on how do you always say yes? Because everybody talks about this, yes is the answer. Well, how do you say it? It's not enough to tell your associates yes is the answer and hang up signs. We need to teach them how. So as I got super focused on this, I came to a 4-step process that you can always say yes. And it started out with the 4 levels of commitment, being that I would say, I should write a book about this. And then I got I'm like, I want to write this book. And then I'm like, I need to write this book. And finally I got to the I will. And I said, I will write this book. And I made it happen. In 2019, I self-published Yes is the Answer.
That's great. Congratulations.
And here's something I want to share with everybody too. Today, you can do anything you dream of. You don't have to wait to be discovered. You don't have to submit a book copy to all kinds of publishers and hope they like it enough to publish it. Today, if you sing, get on YouTube and share your gifts with the world. You have a message, write an article, start a blog, write a book. You can do anything today.
No, that's definitely true.
And we all have
the power is
gifts to
definitely.
share. And that's all I wanted to do was my mission since I was 17 is to change the world one yes at a time. And I just wanted to share this process to help all service providers anywhere that I might not meet and share with them how they can stand tall, be confident, be empowered, and own their day and lead from the heart.
So give me an example of some really tough questions that, you would say there's no way you can say yes, but you have found a way to say yes. And then if you can, maybe share the 4 principles of getting, or levels of commitment to getting to yes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And the 4 levels of commitment is actually something else I do in my keynote. It's kind of a separate thing. But again, the 4 levels are I should, I want, I need, and I will. But that's a whole other thing. But for yes is the answer, absolutely. Let me share with you. I can give you 100 hard no questions. First of all, how about at our hotels when a family needs a rollaway, but the fire code is says, or how about a guest who wants a smoking room? That's hard to find today. How about that elite member who wants a free upgrade and you are sold out? Those are all hard questions. Or even, let's just say at the Courtyard, we have this all the time. Our breakfast was not free. We had a quick serve restaurant and the bistro. And, people would be like, isn't breakfast free? Those are really hard questions. So it's all about following the 4 steps. Now, I'll tell you quickly what the 4 steps are. First step is make friends first. Pause and make friends first. We get so caught up in the anxiety of the no that we let it get the better of us and we go right to the no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. But if we pause and we make friends, you're building a relationship. You get your brain out of the fright and you go right to what it helps get you out of the fright and get you into the creativity of what you can do. But when your brain is caught in fight or flight, then you just get stuck on no. Do you feel me on that?
Mm-hmm. I think part of that is also, it seems in that pause is also listening, right? Because I think when you're in the hospitality industry or any other kind of industry, hotels, restaurants, you're going to hear a lot of the same things over and over again, right? So you kind of think automatically, I've been there, done that. But I think sometimes the hardest part is actually listening, because sometimes it's actually quite different, even though it might start out the same as all the other questions, but where it ends up could be quite different. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. All of that's happening. And the main thing, what I want people to know is, so many people think, when I take them through, they're sort of like, that's so simple. Why don't I do it? It's no one's fault. It's our biology. And again, when your brain goes into that fight or flight, you just respond instead of taking the time to make friends first. People are just like, why don't I do that? That's so simple. However, it's our biology. But once you become aware of the biology, you can build the muscle to beat it. Okay.
Give me an example of what you mean by that, if you don't mind, with the biology.
Yes. So, for example, if like I'm telling you this now, so the next time someone asks you that question, because you're creating this awareness that, oh, my body reacts this way, and if I make friends, I can get out of that. You know what I mean? Like, to make friends is not our natural biology response. Okay. Our natural response is, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we can't. That's what we all naturally go to. However, is once we create the awareness and go, okay, I need to practice them making friends first, so that it becomes my natural response. Does that kind of make sense?
I think I think what you're saying is that it's a mindset, right? When you first are listening to someone, your mindset should be, let me really connect with this person, and hopefully connect at a friendship level, because then that's going to help you, I think, get to, I don't know your stages, but I'm just thinking at some point, yes, listening, empathy, and then actually seeing what could be done if you were in their shoes.
Exactly. The second step is go right into what you can do. I'll give you an example. Let's just use the rollaway bed one, because that's a tough one. It's such a tough one. So most of our people go right, because the anxiety of, I need a rollaway, and us knowing you can't get a rollaway in that room, you're already getting anxiety over that. And now I'm going to upset someone, or I'm not going to be able to say yes. It doesn't feel good when we have to say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we don't. We love saying yes. We love serving people. That's why we're in this industry. So when we get that question that we know is a hard no, it gives us anxiety. So if I were to first pause instead of go right into, the law, the fire code, the et cetera, and make friends. And let's just say, for example, I see that they're a family, and say, oh, I see you brought the whole family. That's so exciting. What are your names? And high fives to the kids. I've got some tattoos for you. Now, all of a sudden, you become friends. It's going to be a lot harder to yell at me too. And you are no longer in that fight or flight. So now you're really thinking it through. You're hearing the situation. You know what? Here's a couple things I can do. We can get you extra bedding. I can create a pillow fort for the kids. I even have some fun camping things, which this is all stuff that I actually got after we came up with our yes. Okay. I can sell you an extra room that is adjoining for a discount. Would any of these options work for you? But when you go right to the no, you close it all down. When you make friends, you open your brain up for options, creativity, and you open the dialogue. When you start with no, it just goes south. Is that hitting home?
I see what you're saying, but I'm curious also, in order to get to yes, how much of this is much of a role of the front line versus also a management mindset that, also wants to say yes and empowers the front line to actually act on this? Because some of the options you're talking about have some financial decisions related to it, right? Giving a discount, so on and so forth. And so obviously in this situation, their hands are tied. They can't do it legally. But I think what I'm hearing you saying is instead of just going to no, explain to them the truth. But more than that, give them the options that you're willing to do to make it better, easier, or even more palatable. Correct?
Right. Now, in my opinion, I don't start with the truth, if you will. And that sounds kind of shady, but it's not. What I mean by that is I don't start with no. Because if you start with no, it just goes down from there. And your attitudes change, your demeanors change, you're not diffusing the situation, if you will. I always start with making friends, then telling them, here are some options I have for you. Here are some things I can do. Rather than saying, the Illinois state law says we can, due to our fire code, nobody cares about laws, rules, or your operational challenges. Nobody cares about that. They care about what they need. True or true?
What do you do when they've given you these options and they still say, that's great, but I just want the rollaway bed?
You're falling right into my plan. So here is the what I recommend. Anytime you get resistance, then what you can just go right back to the step number 1, which is make friends first. Thank you so much for letting me know your situation, for letting me know your priority, for any of that. That's again, pausing, make friends. Then here is what I'm able to do for you. Will any of these work for you? I mean, if you're taking it all the way to the point where maybe we're not the right hotel for you, and I'm a service provider, I'm going to get on the phone and try to find that for you. If that's really what you need, I'm going to serve you. I'll give you an example from my perspective as a speaker. If someone calls and says, we're having our conference on March 14th, and this actually just happened, and we'd love for you to be our keynote speaker. And I don't go, oh gosh, no, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I'm booked that day. I say, oh my goodness, thank you so much for wanting me to energize and inspire your leaders. I am honored. And then I go right into what I can do. Well, first of all, I'll ask them some questions. I'll say, are your dates flexible? Are this? I said, okay, then here's what I can do. I can do a virtual at this time from these time frames, or I can get you another speaker that's going to be amazing, and I'm going to be your speaker next year. So I always have a yes answer for people. Is that resonating?
Sure, but I'm wondering if I'm going to be a little bit of devil's advocate. What if someone says, "Well, you're actually evading the question, and you're not answering my question"? What do you say to people who think that?
I love that question. I've had that before. Here's the thing. I am serving people. I'll give you an example. This is one I do a lot. This is part of my keynote. I'll call when I'm going into a region of doing some training. I'll call and I'll ask each hotel. I'm not going to share what I ask. I ask them a hard no question, and oftentimes I get no. Not often, always. I always get the no response, always. And what I press upon my audience is that if we're asking the question behind the question, it really isn't if they have. I'll let you know. It's about having an airport shuttle. It's not really about do they have an airport shuttle. It's how the hell do I get from the airport to your hotel? That's the question behind the question. So I'm going to answer that question. Now, if someone, and this is what I also want to say, will this 100% solve all your problems forever and ever? No, it's not going to. You're going to have some difficult, challenging personalities and whatnot that might be like what you're saying. But in a general rule, if you make friends first and build a relationship and then share all the things you can do, you're going to show how you are serving a person rather than showing them blocks. Can't do that. Can't do that. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened this weekend. I brought my daughter to New York to celebrate her birthday. And we also were apartment shopping because she just got a job at Tommy Hilfiger there. And we went and saw a play, a musical. And my plan for her actual birthday was to go back to the hotel, and there was chocolate cake on the menu. And we were going to have a couple cocktails and celebrate her birthday with chocolate cake. Well, we got there 20 minutes after 10, and I did not know when the kitchen closed. And when I said I'd like to order 2 cocktails and some chocolate cake, he said, kitchen closes at 10. That was the response. Kitchen closes at 10. And I said, okay. I just ordered the cocktails. And then my daughter went to the washroom, and I said, hey, my daughter's birthday today, and our plan was to have cake after our show. I didn't realize your kitchen closed at 10. It's New York. And I said, is there any way you could even get one of those wrapped up breakfast muffins that are free? Kitchen closes at 10. So you tell me, would you rather have somebody go, oh, happy birthday, let me see if I can get a free breakfast muffin? Or would you rather have someone say, the truth, kitchen closes at 10?
Sure. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, it's a big difference, of course. Yeah.
Big difference. Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
here's the thing. Again, people are leaving our industry in droves over the last 2 years because they're tired of showing up and reacting to all the hard no's. Again, it does not feel good to constantly say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. No, I'm sorry, unfortunately. That is like a punch every time we have to say that. And you don't go home going, yes, I served, I changed the world, I made people happy. That doesn't feel good. When you can teach people how to stand tall, be empowered, own their day, and serve, that feels good. And our industry will begin, and it already is thriving, but you know what I mean? Thrive hospitably again. And I'll share something else with you. In my travels in 2022, I have seen more bells at front desks than I have my whole life. And that just shows you how far back we have gone throughout COVID.
Yeah, to get someone's attention, right?
Yes. We're not going to be up at the front desk waiting for you. Ring the bell if you need service. Yeah. At branded hotels.
So all of this leads up to something else you talk about in your book, and that is delivering legendary service. So before we get into that, I want you to define for me, what is legendary service?
That's a great, you know what? That's great. I didn't plan for this. I didn't know you were going to ask that, but just offhand, the immediate thing I thought of when you said that was making someone feel special. When you can make someone feel special, that's legendary. It's how when you're at the restaurant and they find out it's your birthday and all of a sudden they come and and you're like, oh no, but you are loving every minute of it. Anytime I can make someone feel special, that fills my cup. If I fill other cups, that fills my cup. That is legendary service. It is not about having a clean room and basic friendly service. It is about making people feel special. I always say to my team, make regular people feel like they're movie stars and make movie stars feel like they're regular people.
I'm sure you have an example. So can you share with us an example of how you used to do it, but then you realized if you did it this way, it's legendary?
Oh, well, and again, it could be different for each person that's in front of you. It truly can.
Sure.
For someone who's not traveled before and you just walked them to the elevator and showed them how to use the elevator, that could be amazing because they were so uncomfortable. They're like, I don't know how to do this. You know what I mean? But then to that seasoned, savvy traveler, you putting a sign on their door with balloons saying that it's their birthday. That can make them feel special. It could be saying, you know what? I noticed that you've been staying with us week after week. Are you going to be a regular here? Well, thank you for noticing that. Made me feel so good. I'll give you another example. Mr. Hatera, he was a regular at one of my hotels, and every morning he'd come down, he'd get the same thing. He'd get a yogurt parfait, a biscotti, and a tea. So then all of a sudden, when I caught on to that, every morning I'd have it already bagged. And when he came down, I'd say, "Oh, Mr. Otero, I've got your bag for you." And then I started writing fun quotes on his bag for like a message for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think you truly personalized the experience for him, and he felt special.
Yes, and when he comes down and everybody sees that I know his name and I know his order and I've got it ready, I mean, how amazing do you feel? That feels amazing. And so it doesn't have to be the huge upgrade or the big amenity. It's about making people feel special. Like you, I know you, and I'm glad you're here. You're not just another person.
What would you say is the biggest hurdle that you often need to overcome when you're teaching someone legendary service? What's the hurdle that you have to overcome that once you overcome that hurdle, they're on the path to legendary service?
They have to want it. If you are working with a person that doesn't have it in their heart, I can teach, and you hear this all the time. You talk to any person who's been in the business a long time. They'll say, "I can teach you anything on the computer. I can teach you any of that stuff. I can't teach you to love people." If you don't have it in your heart, it's going to be very challenging.
So how do you gauge like when you're interviewing people or you're hiring people? How do you gauge for that?
Great question. In the book, I have the starfish story. And this is where my mission, I literally have goosebumps. This is where my mission to change the world one yes at a time came from. And it was all about the starfish story. I will often tell people the starfish story in an interview. And when I see their eyes light up, or when I see them go, "Oh, I've got a great story too," I'm like, "You're the one I want on my team." I don't care what experience you have. I don't care if you know the front office system. I don't care if you're young or old, or it doesn't matter. You're the person I want on my team. I want world changers on my team.
Can you share the starfish story with us?
Oh, of course I will. I will always share that story with you. So the starfish story, very quickly, is a girl walking along the beach, and she's throwing starfish into the ocean, one after the other, one after the other. And a gentleman walks up and says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Oh, well, there's a low tide and all these starfish will die if they don't get back in the ocean. Help me, let's throw them back in." And he says, "Look around. There are thousands of them. We'll never make a difference." And she says, "Really?" She bends down, she picks one up, and she throws it into the ocean. She says, "I made a difference to that one." And when my dad told me that story at 17, he said, "Baby, every single day people walk through your front doors and you get to change their world with your smile, with your energy, with your yes. You change the world one person at a time every day." And I was like, "Yeah, Dad." And literally from that day on, I have never gone to work for going to work. I went to change the world. Every day I walked in thinking, whose world do I get to change today? And that energy, your energy is contagious. I was a front desk associate. And pretty soon I started my scrapbook and I started talking about the starfish and I started talking about changing the world. And everybody around me at my hotel wanted to be part of it. Pretty soon, I won the President's Award. Pretty soon, our hotel was winning awards. We all wanted that. Then as I went in my career, I realized, it was the culture I brought to the hotels that made us award winning. I'm not smarter than any of you, anybody out there. It's the culture I bring. And then when you pair that cute little metaphor story with what you do every day in our hotels, and then you pair that together, you really show people we change the world. And how lucky are we that we get to be here to do it? So that's kind of my origin story.
That's great. I love it. So I'm curious, what are 3 things management can do to create this culture you're talking about? Because I think you're right. I think it's definitely, there's a culture, right? Even if you encounter some people, they may not be people person. If you create the culture or give them the tools to do it, they can really then learn to please. Yeah. So I'm curious, what are three things that management can do to create the culture you're talking about?
Oh God, there's so many things, but let's talk about three. Number one, the most important thing you do every day is huddle. There is nothing you can do all day long that will be more impactful to your culture and your team and your results than huddle. Many people think it's the fluff. Many people think it's for people that have energy like me. It is strategy. If you are not doing huddle, you are missing massive opportunities to increase your results, increase your retention of associates, and increase your revenue. So, huddle is the number one thing, the most important thing you do every day. Two is creating an empowered work culture where associates feel like they can say yes without getting in trouble. Okay. And three is your onboarding. You want that to be from the very beginning. Again, selecting people who want to change the world, not a body. How many job posts have I seen for front desk? You must know Fosse. You must know On Cue. You must know. That shows me a leader who doesn't want to take the time to train somebody and they only care about what they know so it can be easier on them. That's what I see when I see that in a job application. You want the right person, not the right experience, especially for a frontline position like that.
Interesting. So I'm curious now that a lot of people have talked about how COVID has changed things, in terms of some ways for the worse. But I'm curious, what opportunities are you seeing now in a post-COVID world?
Oh gosh, there's so many different opportunities. One, the remoteness, of so many people being able to work remotely. I think it's a detriment and an opportunity. I think it's full remote. I think is detriment to a culture. I just do. I think 20 years from now, we're going to look back and go, that was a lot of the mental health issue. Because I think when you don't get out and don't have to get dressed and shower and see people and communicate and connect with your team, that's going to be a detriment. But it also has opened up opportunities like, oh, I can get this person, even though they live in New York and we're in LA, because of all the technology that came to the forefront. I think Teams and Zoom were all things that would have come like 5 years' time. But because of COVID, we all had to jump in it. We had to get on board or get out. So I think that sped up a lot of that. And that's a good thing. I think we've seen, even inside our operational hotels, how we can clean better, how we can be more service friendly and keep people healthy and be respectful of that. I think the number one thing that came out of this is work-life balance. We had a situation where we were starving for talent. And we're like, okay, you know what? Our industry has been like, you got to do your time for all my whole career. And I think we're starting to see that, you know what? We can make this a career where people can have a family, people can have a life, and we need to change some things to make that happen. I think that's a very big positive that's come out of this.
So what do you see on the horizon in terms of an area that you'd like to explore further about legendary service or even getting to yes? Is there different levels or layers of getting to yes you still want to explore? And if so, what are they?
Well, there's a lot I can say on that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. What I would really like to impress upon right now is we need to get back. The service today, and to no one's fault, everything we went through COVID, we had to think through. I literally had to think, how do I give this pen to somebody without getting infected or infecting them? So with all of that, having to think through every single move we made, we put all those things on the back burner. We aren't saying, welcome to the Courtyard, welcome to the Hilton. We're just like getting back to going, oh, hey, checking in, or having bells at the front desk. We just need to get back to our basics first and then really ramp up. And we can do that quickly, but it's going to take a lot of our leaders to retrain, refocus during those huddles, and really make this a priority. For the last 2 years, we've been so starved with talent that we've just accepted a body so we can get through the day. And we really need to get back to the basics and the expectation of true hospitality. Then I think we can start talking about, and I always do in all of my workshops and master classes and keynotes, I talk about getting to that next. Get back to basics and then taking it even higher.
Can you give us an example of a recent project you worked on where you had to do this and how you were able to achieve that?
How I had to do what?
Getting them back to basics, just getting them out of this whole cloud of COVID. And I mean, it sounds easy, but I'm just curious if you can give an example. It might really help resonate with our listeners.
Yes. Well, I have a private club called the Crown Society. And this is where any leader for a very affordable price can join this membership. And inside this membership, we do goal setting. I do a master class every month. We do co-working. I do Q&A where you can zoom in and ask me any questions. There are a number of people in my Crown Society that have gone from red zone, which is below the brand threshold of acceptable guest experience, to green zone. And that is an amazing transformation within 6 months' time. So taking those people, those leaders, and again, getting to the mindset of why we do things, then the strategy of how to do it better and more efficiently, and then to have the endurance to keep it going and keep that running. And again, the 3 things I mentioned before about huddle, that's the greatest place to begin for any leader out there. Also, for anybody out there watching this, if you would like a huddle, it's a free downloadable, and it's a best practices on huddle. I will have that for your listeners.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you can share that link with me, or if you want to share the link now, that's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to set it up for you, so I'll share that with you when you post this interview or this pod. I will. I'll have it for you by then.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds great.
Yes.
So I'm curious, you've talked to a lot of people in the industry and in the world of customer service, but is there anyone still out there that you'd love to have lunch with? And if so, why?
Oh, shucks. There's a million people I'd love to have lunch with. And one of my things I do every year is I have a goal to have 52 cups of coffee or 50 cups of coffee. So basically being with intention, I'm connecting with somebody to have a cup of coffee with, if you will, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, and just get to know people. But in this industry, I was lucky enough to meet Mr. Marriott when I won General Manager of the Year. That was so exciting. I got to go to corporate and meet Mr. Marriott. So that was so fun. But shucks, there's so many people that I would love to have lunch with. But to name somebody right now, who would I love to have lunch with?
Maybe the next person on your list. I know you have many, but the next person and why?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think so many that I did last year. I met a number of different authors last year. Who I'd love to have lunch with is Donald Miller. He's not necessarily a hospitality person, but I've been reading a lot of his leadership books. And I would love to have lunch with Donald Miller.
What would you want to ask him? What is it specifically that makes you intrigued about his book or his writing?
Well, he's all about helping small businesses thrive and being a business leader. So being a new entrepreneur, I have so many questions to ask him about running a small business and that sort of thing.
Sounds great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today and enjoyed our conversation. And I look forward to having More yes in me. I'm trying to think. I actually have a few people already on the list on my podcast that I have coming up.
Cool.
And that's what I've been doing. People I want to talk to, especially people that can give me some interesting insights or share their experience, because I just learned a lot from them myself, and I'm hoping the listeners learn from them as well. Because I am a true believer, and I think this is part of what you're saying with your huddles, is there's so much to learn out there with the insights. Just all you really need to do is have just more conversations. And there are just insights all around us that we can all tap into, learn from, and grow from, and ultimately even use those in our daily lives to create a better experience for yourself and someone else you're interacting with. One of the things I've kind of made a rule myself is no matter who I meet, I try to at least make them smile and make myself smile, because to me, that's creating a win-win. And in a where everybody's lives are fast-paced and stressed, but hey, everyone I think can take the time to create a win-win and make each other smile.
Yes. Always leave the other person better than you met them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. And that's why I have that 50 cups of coffee challenge. So I'm always with intention connecting with other people and learning.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, a lot of it is having the right mindset and intention, and then keep doing it. And the thing is, I think you can probably attest this, once you start doing this, it becomes not only easier, but even more and more fun.
Oh, yes. And it's just who you are. You don't even have to set the intention anymore. It's just who you are.
Exactly. You just becomes a part of you. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Well, I loved being with you as well. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is a great conversation. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And I will let you know when this episode is launching.
Perfect. And if anybody wants to learn more about Yes is the Answer, the book is on Amazon, and you can visit my website at thewisepineapple.com. And I will have that link for you for them to get the huddle planner and guide.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Getting to AHA was brought to you by iResearch. To find out more about us, head to iResearch.com and make sure to search for Getting to AHA in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. And don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening.